Well, hello my friends. I am back. Back. Well, as usual, I can't be back and not yak a little bit. And I decided to bring out the turning that I did last week of that fix on the oops. Now, I gotta tell you, I was not familiar with this wood. And this piece has scared the daylights out of me. Not while turning, but while inside the house. The other day, sitting watching TV, I hear cling. It's like, okay, what in the world did they just crack? Like a heated up glass pot that you put maybe cold water into it. It was a very crisp pink sound. Looked around, could not see anything. And a couple of days later, crack! It's like loud, I mean sharp loudness. And again, and I followed more or less to what the sound was. Sound is this piece. It's alive. I gotta tell you, it is cracking all over the place. Unusual cracking. I turn just about everything I turn is just about, not everything. And most of the time, I don't get pieces splitting up while they're drying. This wood makes up for it. It, even under the body, which is not too thick, but you can see that checking will go all the way up and still come up over here. The bark has had one small area where it's separated. It's still pretty stiff and it's attached all over the place. So this wood is a tough wood to work with, and it always stays a little bit gritty. The wood grain is almost like it has a straw type effect, and you can see that on the base from when I got over from the flat part going in and follow up along. It changes and it becomes these little black specks that I should have pointed out last time that something was odd about it, but as I was cutting up, it becomes these long strands type appearance. So what do? I mean, I'll put this on the side and see how far it will go. Stay so, I want it. Now I have a couple of pieces of that same wood that I cut up, and I am curious to see how it looks turned in a different orientation. Now you can see I still have the pit, I have the full wood, and I don't have any checking on this piece, or cracking. Well, cracking, checking is the same thing. So, odd that a turned piece checked all over the place while a log without any type of treatment hasn't. It's time for it to come on a lathe. So this is not going to be a live edge. I'm going to turn this up from the bottom up and create a bowl on the top side of this. So I will see if this cuts any better this way too. Speed maybe 500 RPM. That's 400. Okay, 430 RPM, and I'm starting off with my Hurricane 5-inch bowl gouge, 5/8 bowl gouge. don't like the black mold that grows on it. You might want to call it spalting, but I don't call that spalting. I call that ugly. The cuts are, as I've said before, very, very gritty. I mean, it's smooth on the side grain over here, but whenever it's coming up, it's all these straws that go through it. Well, you can see the moisture coming out of this. I still got a little bit of wood, especially on the front side over here. Having a hell of a time undermining it. Although the bottom is actually pretty good. So I gotta go in here with my gooseneck hollowing tool and see if I can scrape it up underneath here. Well, there's nothing for me to compare this wood to, really. I turned on this orientation. But regardless, it looks pretty good. Not too crazy about the black spots, but you know, again, I keep telling you what my sanding techniques are, how much time I spend sanding, what grits I go through, and I know that some of you say, well, it's impossible of you to sand with just 120, 220 and steel wool and get the same effect that I get. I've gone through all the grits up to 600, 800, whatever it is. And you're probably right. Probably right. But the point is, you don't have to spend your life sanding away. When this, I don't care how well you look at this. This is a very, very fine sanding with just those two steps. In this case, I used the Brillo pad a little bit too, but it was here, so I just passed it before the steel wool, but it really did not do anything. This is, you know, I believe 120 grit, that's what I had on the drill. Sanded with a 120, but well sanded with the 120. But then again, the 120 cuts pretty quick, so anything that you have on there, if you don't have deep gouges or tool marks, you know, you've got a pretty good surface to start the sanding process. So, going with that, which is roughly this grit right here, 120. Okay? And steel wool, I'm not saying that's going to be the case in all woods, and it's not going to be the case depending on what you have, whether if you got tear outs or no tear outs, or if you got any gouges or tool marks or anything like that. If you got a good clean cut, you can sand it to that and end up with an awesome sanding. Now, don't let me be the one who's telling you, blowing smoke up your way, because that's the last thing that I would want to do, is to misinform you. I am only telling you what I do, and it's up to you whether if you want to go the same route or if you want to continue doing it the way you do it, which is at the end, it's, you know, are you pleased with it? And that's the thing that you have to do, is please yourself. Along the way, if you please a lot of other people, then even better. But really, I have always hated to do unnecessary work or extra steps to get from A to B. Not to take away from the quality, but just find ways of doing things quicker, easier, and eliminate, like I said, some steps. So I just applied some Yorkshire grit. Yorkshire grit, the original. And I'm rubbing it in. It's an additive sanding, but mostly I'm doing it because it also seals the wood for me, and it allows the Aubichon juice to go on fairly uniform or consistent. Speed is at 1200 RPM on this product. I'm just taking off any leftover, any residue from the Yorkshire grit. And I know I can say 100 times what this is in this bottle, which is Aubichon juice. I've shown the formula 100 times. I've mixed it live, and people are constantly asking me what it is that I'm using from this bottle. And I know sometimes, you know, the language barrier between different countries is a problem. So that can be the case, and sometimes. But sometimes it's because you skip forward too quickly. And you don't see what's in between. Even though I don't mind telling you what it is, in all fairness, you want to know my techniques, you want to know what I do. Watch the videos, please. There is a reason why I do a lot of talking. And a lot of my talking is actually explaining what I do. If you skip the talking, then you're skipping the whole process, the whole point of the video, in my opinion. I've never been a big fan of silent movies. Now this one, the wood itself, like I said, all the way from the beginning, it's a very strawy, it's not a good cutting wood. Far from being a good cutting wood. So with that said, it's also not a good wood to really show a great finish. It's not going to be the best finish out there. But is the finish acceptable? You tell me. I think it is. But if I apply another coat of this So Be Shine juice, I guarantee it will be a little bit better. I think that's it. So you know what I gotta do. Flip it over, this will go inside my chuck. Flip it backwards and take out the bottom and sand it. But for now, this is it. I'm running out of time. And the temperature is a little bit hot in here. So I'll head back home and edit this so I can have something for you guys. That's what's on the lathe. I think it's a very nice finish for the wood that it is. Wood, these fibers are very strawy. They are very hard to clean up. It's almost like a palm tree, you know, I don't know if you've ever cut it, but at the end it's like all straws and they all flap over one way or the other. And that's exactly what this does over here. Where it's doesn't catch the straws coming out like what I got here, and I got it more laying down. The finish is pretty good. It's fairly smooth on this area, and it's smooth all the way through. There's no roughness to this, but you can see the texture, the difference. And you know, again, and the reason why I'm bringing you up in there is not to show you so much these, but it's to show you that the overall sanding, considering, you know, you don't see any sandpaper scratch marks. You see the indents from all these little pits, and no matter what I do, you'll not get rid of those. I mean, they even on the flat parts, they even show. So, but there's no scratches, nothing of that sort, just beautiful, beautiful wood pattern. The colors, well, I'm not so crazy about this black, and that's how this wood decided to start spalting. Very little of this going through, which I wouldn't mind if it had a little bit more of this, but that's it. And that's the overall piece. It's some sort of a hollow vessel. I burned the two lines with the wooden piece, since I cannot burn it with a wire. I did this a little indent around the mouth for a little bit, something a little bit different. I could have a lid that actually sits on this area over here, and just a little indent or a little tenon over here to keep us from rocking back and forth, but actually just sit with this profile, and I think that would look pretty good too. Who knows, maybe next week I will do something else to this. I'll take out the bottom and I will create something that I think will complement it. Thanks again. We'll see you very soon.